5 on the calendar in the matter of Santibanez versus Schaefer. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Santibanez, you rented a house with your family of 8 people from the defendant since 2014, so a little over 6 years. And according to your statement, at the end of July of this year, Mr. Schaefer advised you that he wanted you out of the house by October 1st, and at all times you have been current in your rent. I think that all the parties will agree with that. Yes. Correct, Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
What was the address of the house that you rented from Mr. Schaefer?
The address was 1750 in Oceanside.
Mr. Schaefer, when did you purchase 1750?
Probably about 2 years before that.
Before they rented it, so in approximately 2012.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for it?
I think it was $470,000.
Did you ever live there?
Well, I was working on it, yeah. I do my own work, so I lived there on and off for the full 2 years.
So you bought it as a fixer-upper, and you lived there while you made it ready to use as a rental property.
Yeah, well, we wanted to sell
me?
it. We wanted to sell it, but that didn't work out.
Well, after you fixed it up, you tried to sell it, and that was in 2012. Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, yeah.
Couldn't sell it, so you decided to rent it.
Yes.
And they paid rent. Their rent was $3,200 a month.
I think at the beginning it was a little less.
But now, the last year or two or more, it was $3,200 a month. What was it initially?
Initially, it was, wasn't it $3,000?
Initially, it was $2,850. And then it progressively went up.
Okay. But your rent when you left was $3,250.
Correct.
And you did, in fact, leave by October 1st.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Do you still, Mr. Schaefer, own 1750?
Yes.
Is it currently on the market for sale?
Yes.
That is not an answer, Mr. Schaefer. Is it an escrow?
It's for sale.
Do you currently have it on the market for sale?
Yes, it is currently on the market.
The answer is yes.
That is not true.
Oh.
There's no MLS.
Would you? I'm going to...
Thank you.
What is it on the market for sale? At what price?
We didn't have a price. The real estate agent is here with me as a witness, and we never settled on a price. We have to do a little work on it first, and then it'll probably be around $1 million.
Who is living in the house now?
Nobody's living in it now.
Okay. They moved out on October 1st. What work have you done in the house?
Well, since then, we tried to get the little stream running on the front. We've added a couple of closets in bedrooms so that they would actually be called bedrooms, because you have to have a closet and then to be calling them a bedroom. Some patching work on one main wall in the main house, and we turned one of the little garage rooms below into another bedroom, and we had to make that...
So you've renovated the house in order to double what you paid for it.
That would double what we paid for it. Not what we had in it, but double what we paid for it, yes.
Double what you paid for it.
Yes.
And during the past 6 years or so, you've had a tenant who's faithfully paid you on average of $3,000 a month for the house. Now, this is what the situation is. You made a deal with the plaintiffs, Mr. Schaefer, and your deal with them was that if they left the house in good condition, not only would they get their security back, but if they cooperated with the realtor, who is your witness, you would return their September's rent, which was $3,250. When they moved out, you not only didn't give them their September's rent back, but you deducted money from their security deposit. So this lawsuit is about the deal that you had with them, that you would pay them sort of a bonus to get out by October 1st.
Exactly.
And this is during a COVID moratorium on evictions, you understand.
Yes.
In the state of California. So you would give them a bonus if they moved out on October 1st and return their security. Your answer suggests that, well, they did a little bit of damage, so you deducted $800 for their security, and they didn't fully cooperate with the realtor.
They didn't cooperate at all, and that's what he's here to go along with.
Great. So they didn't cooperate at all.
Not at all.
So those are basically the facts. Do I get that right, sir?
Yes, in a sense.
Well, what sense is wrong?
I do have the notice to terminate the lease, where it does say nothing about cooperating with a realtor, if you'd like to see it.
I would. The letter that he sent you you agreed to?
For the termination of our lease, and to be out by October 1st.
Okay. I'm giving you a written non-renewal notice letting you know that I will not be renewing your month-to-month lease. I am giving you a required 60 days notice via this letter. However, in the interest of it, I will extend the 60 days to October 1st, which means that you can stay on property until October 1st, which should make a move easier for you and your family. Lastly, if the property is turned over on October 1st, which he realizes that you didn't have to do, in good and clean condition, I will refund your September's rent in addition to your deposit. Feel free to call me if you have any questions. Do you recognize that document, sir? And is that your signature? I'm checking it with the signature on your answer.
Yeah.
That's the letter that you sent to them.
I don't remember all of that.
Okay, point out any place in that letter where it says that he has to cooperate with your realtor.
If it doesn't say it in that letter, then it's not in that letter.
It doesn't say that in the letter, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay. Then it must have been in the conversation we had immediately after the letter. Immediately.
Let me explain a little bit about contract law to you, sir. You made him an offer in this letter. It's a written offer. He acted on this written offer by moving out on October 1st. So the contract is complete. The only way that you can modify this written contract is by a writing, not a conversation, not a telephone call, not a chat before, not a chat after. It has to be in written form, just like this letter.
Well, you got me there, Judge.
And quite frankly, of course, Mr. Schaefer, you know, you actually do understand that not only do you have this letter, but by your own statement, sir, it didn't matter whether he cooperated with your realtor or not, because you haven't put the house up on the market for sale. And the reason you didn't put the house up on the market for sale is because you said you were doing work on it to make it more attractive. You added a bedroom, you made closets so that you could say it's a 6-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house or a 8-bedroom house instead of what it was in order to comply with code. So you haven't even listed it for sale. So that if you said to me, well, I listed it for sale, and we discussed that given COVID, I would give him notice and I would keep the showing short, you haven't even listed it according to you. So how you actually dare to say that your defense is that he didn't cooperate with a broker when he's been out of the house for 2 months and you haven't even listed it yet? That's what you just told me a moment ago. So how was he supposed to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to cooperate.
Other than the fact that you snookered him. Yeah, go ahead. Now, you haven't even listed it according to you. So how you actually dare to say that your defense is that he didn't cooperate with a broker when he's been out of the house for 2 months and you haven't even listed it yet? That's what you just told me a moment ago. So how was he supposed to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to cooperate.
Other than the fact that you snookered him. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
He was supposed to cooperate, fully cooperate, and I remember talking.
What was he supposed to? No. Schaefer.
Yeah.
What act was he supposed to do to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to allow the broker to look at it whenever the broker wanted to. He was supposed to allow.
What? Just a second. Schaefer, for what?
So the broker would see it.
For what? To look at it because he had nothing else to do but look at your house? It wasn't listed for sale and hasn't been listed for 2 months. He moved out October 1st. All of October and all of November, you haven't listed it. What is this useless broker here? He has nothing else to do with his time than go and look at your property?
That's right. And he was supposed to allow the...
Then you have an idiot for a broker, and so are you. You owe him $4,050. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Okay.
We're done. Thank you very much. For a long time. And recently decided to rent an apartment together. You located an apartment, and I was unclear. Did both of you sign the lease or just the defendant?
Both of us.
And you were supposed to move into this apartment on...
September 5th was our move-in date.
Okay. In order to accommodate that, you gave the defendant $1,400, and you transferred that into her bank account. Do you have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
Would you please take it out?
This is the total that I gave her. The $300 and the $1,000 was towards the deposit on the apartment, and the $145 was $100 for a $200 holding fee and $45 for a credit check fee. And the $50 was a personal loan that...
Just a second. Okay. A credit check fee?
Yes, for the...
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. I got it. At some point, the apartment complex that you were leasing from notified you that the apartment would not be ready on the move-in date that you were given in the lease, and the apartment complex gave you the option of backing out of the lease.
Yes.
You decided that you wanted to back out of the lease.
Yes.
You no longer wanted to go forward with it. And what you are suing for is the return of the money that you sent to the defendant, because the defendant seems to acknowledge that she received that money back from the apartment complex. Am I correct?
I didn't receive everything back. I did receive a portion of it.
How much did you receive back that you can prove to me?
The only thing I didn't get back was the holding fee and both credit check fees.
And I would assume that you wouldn't have gotten the credit check fee.
Yeah. They told us we
Back.
weren't going to get that back,
What was
and then
that,
we didn't get
40?
it was
Right.
$45 per
Right.
person.
Okay. So they did, in fact, return to you most of the deposit that the plaintiff gave you.
Yes.
You said you would return to her only $400 of the deposit, and your reason was that you purchased things, I assume, for the apartment.
Yes.
In contemplation of moving into the apartment together. She was the one that didn't want to go forward with it if you had to wait 2 weeks, and you got stuck with stuff that you would not have otherwise purchased. Like what?
A kitchen table, and then I did the renter's insurance.
Just a second. Where is the kitchen table and chairs?
I had to end up getting a new one because that one was too big, and I had to move. I was already set to move.
No, look at me. You bought a kitchen table and chairs.
Yes.
Was it delivered?
No, I stopped the delivery.
You stopped the delivery.
Yes, I couldn't get my money back. They said I could either keep that one or get one that was smaller.
Prove it to me. Chairs.
Yes.
Was it delivered?
No, I stopped the delivery.
You stopped the delivery.
Yes, I couldn't get my money back. They said I could either keep that one or get one that was smaller.
Prove it to me.
It says on the very bottom how you can't get your money back.
I see what this is, and I see what you signed, $450 that you paid. Did you buy another one?
I paid $100 more.
Did you buy? The question is, did you buy another one? The answer is yes.
Yes, because that one was too big, and I was forced to keep that and keep buying stuff from them because I was going to lose out on all that money.
Okay, listen. I mean, I may be older than you are, but I know young people think they're smarter. I want you to give me a full sentence answer. The answer is you took this $450, you added another $100 to it, and you bought another table that you currently own.
Yes.
Isn't that simple? Look how I said that. Without convoluted, without anything. Did you move into another apartment?
Yes, I did.
And you now have a kitchen table and chairs, right?
Yes.
That cost you $550, that you own it.
Yes.
Good. What else did you buy?
The renter's insurance?
Renter's insurance.
Yeah, we have to have renter's insurance in order to move in before we could
Okay.
even move in.
Fine. You ordered the renter's insurance, but before that renter's insurance went into effect, you canceled it because you never moved in.
No, we did not move in.
You never moved in. So if you never moved in, there shouldn't be any insurance. You were uncovered because you didn't own or rent the property. Are you telling me you had a loss with insurance that you're going to have to prove?
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say what?
That I had a loss of insurance.
Well, you just told me. I said, well, what did you pay for that you didn't use?
I did pay for it.
You
and
said
it took
renter's
8 weeks
insurance.
to get the money back, Your Honor.
So who cares? I'm trying to figure out what you spent money on. So far, it's nothing. So she's entitled to have $1,400 back, or $1,300.
First of all, I got several text messages from her mother saying that it was $1,200. She posted on Facebook $1,500, and then it was $1,691.
I just want to know how much. You just showed me what you received from her.
This is what I received. I have my bank statements. Because when it transfers, it doesn't go directly. It, takes money out of it when you transfer it to your account from Cash App.
She showed me what she sent to you. Are you disputing what she sent to you?
Yes.
What specifically are you disputing? The $1,000?
No.
Are you disputing the $300? What are you disputing to you? Are you disputing what she sent to you?
Yes.
What specifically are you disputing? The $1,000?
No.
Are you disputing the $300? What are you
wasn't the
disputing?
full- So, Your Honor, when it gets sent through Cash App, when it gets transferred to your bank account, it takes a portion of it out. So I didn't get that full amount.
What
Your
portion?
Honor?
What portion? Shh, just what
sorry.
portion?
It ended up being
Just what portion? If it was $1,000, how
was
much did you receive?
$990.
$990.
Yes.
Okay, that's $10. Okay. And how much of the $300 did you receive?
It was $990, and then I received $297.
Did she return $400 to you?
She returned nothing to me, Your Honor. And if I may, Cash App takes a percentage out when you choose to instantly have it. It takes 2 to 3 business days, but it's a choice to, like, that percentage that they take out. You can choose to have them not, and you can get the full amount that I sent her. That was her choice to have it instantly. It was not.
$13.50, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much. We're done.
All parties in the matter of Henry versus Parsons, Spurlock, Smith. Step forward.
Registered nurse Marianne Henry is suing her son's former friends, 18-year-olds Annie Parsons, Amy Spurlock, and Taylor Smith, for scratching his Honda Civic.
Mrs. Henry, which one of these 2 young men is your son?
Right here in the sport coat. Joshua.
Joshua, you know these 3 young beauties?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you know them?
I went to school with them.
You were on a camping trip with them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Had you ever dated these girls?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever want to date these girls?
No, Your Honor.
Were you friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your mother's complaint, because you were driving her truck. Is it a truck or a car?
It was a car.
Car. These 3 lovelies decided to pull a little bit of a practical joke, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you did to Miss Henry's car.
Well,
That was parked at the campgrounds on the 26th of June.
well, I guess I can tell this part. This whole thing started...
What's your name?
I'm Amy Spurlock.
Go ahead.
Well, it all started because we took Josh's keys because he was really drunk, and we didn't know if he was going to drive or we didn't know, so we took him, and he was really upset.
Where did you take his keys from?
My boyfriend took his keys, and then I had his keys. I took the keys from my boyfriend.
Why?
Because Josh was saying that he wanted to leave.
Just a second. That doesn't tell me how his tent got on top of his car.
Well, he became upset with us because we wouldn't give him his keys back. We went up to his tent because he went up there, he was mad at us, and he went up and went to bed.
What did you do when you went up to his tent?
We went up to his tent, and just as a joke, because, you know, he always messes with us. When you go to parties, everybody just messes with people, and we were taking, like, the poles out of the tent to make it collapse or whatever as a joke. And then we did that a few times.
So you took the poles out of his tent and it collapsed on him.
Yes.
How many times did you do that?
I would say maybe 3.
Then what happened?
And then he got really upset, and he came up because his tent was...
Just a second. What happened when he got upset?
And then he came back to our campsite and was, like, screaming and punching tents and just going crazy.
So he was angry?
Yes.
And then what happened, Amy?
And then we all went back down there.
Who's we all?
Myself, Annie, Taylor. There was...
You're Taylor?
Yes, ma'am. There was, like, maybe 3 other people.
Okay.
And we all went down there, and he wasn't there, and we were looking for him. And I took the poles out of his tent, like, all the way out of his tent. And then I was dragging it over to his car, and another young man put the tent on top of his car.
Why did you go up looking for him?
Because the place where we were is in the middle of nowhere. The only thing there is a Texaco and a prison. And everyone was joking around that night saying that 2 people had escaped from the prison, which I don't know if that's a true story or not. But that.
Why did you go up looking
for him? We were concerned for him. We didn't know where he went because he was mad at us. And we went looking for him because we were going to be like, you know, Josh, we're sorry.
All right, so now you don't find him. You're looking for him, and you're so concerned because these 2 mass murderers have escaped from prison that you pull the poles out of his tent. How did you think that was going to help find him?
That's not what I was thinking. It was a joke.
No, just a second. But how could you be joking at this point if you're concerned for his safety?
I was angry with him because he had called me names.
Just a second. But then you didn't go up looking for him because you were concerned for his safety. You went up there looking for him because you were angry. Which one is it?
It was pretty much both. I mean...
Get out. Can I see the... Listen, they would know the truth if it came up and slapped them in the face. Can I see the pictures of your car, please?
Yes, ma'am. Here are the pictures of the photos, and I also...
And the estimates to have it fixed.
Ma'am, the estimate came from her body shop that she owns.
I don't give a rat's behind whether it came from her body shop or it came from her nephew's body shop or her husband's body shop. When you do the wrong thing, what happens is you cannot expect to be treated fairly. by everybody. You did the wrong thing. Don't stand there and make excuses. You know, you can't get by on good looks. Beauty fades.
We're not.
Ladies, beauty fades. Dumb is forever.
But we're not trying to make excuses. We're just saying that.
You did make an excuse. Put your hands. I'm speaking. You did make an excuse. You said we were concerned. We went up there looking for him because 2 prisoners escaped. Your girlfriend then, because she was so concerned, took the poles out of his tent so that somebody else could drag it over and throw it on his car. Get a life.
But we weren't the only ones there. There were other people there that she's
Then
not...
this is what you have to do. You have to pay $1,000 to have this car repainted, and if you think somebody else was responsible too, then you can sue them and say, I want to be indemnified for part of the money. But right now, it's your bag. Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000.
Parties are Clark. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Carroll, I've read your complaint, and according to your story, you met the defendant on a dating website over the internet. You began a long-distance relationship, and over the course of that brief relationship, you loaned her a substantial amount of money.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And then she broke up with you. She told you she had a new boyfriend. You want your money back.
Correct.
Ms. Clark says she never borrowed any money from you. You gave her money. The money that you advanced to her were gifts. She owes you nothing. When did you find each other on the internet?
That'll be about the October of last year.
How old are you, sir?
27.
Where do you live?
I live in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
And you?
I live in Martinsville, Virginia.
How old are you, Ms. Clark?
27.
How many children do you have?
I have 5 children.
When you met on the internet, did you tell Mr. Carroll about your 5 kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, she...
You were looking for an instant family?
It didn't matter to me. She seemed like a nice person, so I wanted to get to know her better. And the fact that the children never bothered me. I love kids, and I don't have any of my own, but I do have a niece who I adore, and I like children, so that condition didn't bother me.
When did you first meet in person?
Weekend of Halloween.
And how often did you see her?
After that, she came to see me about every other weekend, if not every weekend.
And she would come with or without her children?
She'd come with her children.
Did you all get along?
Yeah, got along pretty great. I took care of them for Christmas, and I bought them Christmas presents, which those were gifts. And then about the beginning of last year, beginning of this year is when I started loaning her the money.
When did you break up?
Beginning of May of this year.
Who broke up with whom?
She called me and told me she didn't want to continue the relationship. She said she needed more time in her life with no men in her life and wanted to get her life straight without a relationship, and that she wanted to stay friends and then maybe one day pick her relationship back up where it left off.
Okay, but you had a new boyfriend at that point?
Not at the time. Okay. After a little while, I did start seeing somebody else.
When?
A couple weeks.
A couple of weeks. Waited that long, did you?
It was mainly, I was trying to be nice. It was mainly because we argued all the time.
About what?
Pretty much any little thing you could imagine. Every time we were on the phone, we argued.
Okay. Is this the boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he here for any reason?
My witness.
For what?
Money that he was never said that it was a loan.
Well, how would he know that?
Because he was a friend of mine and he was with me all the time.
So you mean while you were dating Mr. Carroll and asking him for money, what's your name?
Triton Horton.
What?
Triton Horton.
First name?
Triton.
Triton. I have to tell that name to my daughter. She likes peculiar names for her children. That's one I haven't heard. Anyway, so Triton was around while you were dating and borrowing money from Mr. Carroll.
I wasn't borrowing any money from Mr. Carroll.
Taking money from Mr. Carroll. How do you like that better?
No.
So Triton was around while you were taking money and seeing Mr. Carroll. That's either a yes or a no, Miss Clark.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he became your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
2 weeks after you dumped Mr. Carroll.
Yes, ma'am.
Does he live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Since when?
He's been living with me. Well, he lived with me even when we were together. So did his witness.
So, what's your name?
Myra.
Myra lived with you?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you two meet?
In Virginia Beach. I brought her and her boyfriend back home with me because they...
You met through the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
And she came to live with you, and you were living with Yourself,
at the time.
your 5 children, Triton, and Myra.
Actually, they lived with us first, and then Triton had moved in when he had lost his apartment.
He lost his apartment because he didn't have any
Money.
money. How much money did you give to her over the period of...
Over the course of January through May, I loaned her well over $5,000 via Western Union, which I have receipts right here for every single one.
Now, tell me how it would come about that you gave her this money.
She would call me and like say, you know, I need my bolts are broken on my car, I need to get replaced, or my kids are sick.
Shh, just a second.
My kids are sick, or I'm sick, I need money for food, or you know, I need money for Easter, I need money for car repairs, I need money for my bills, my lights are about to get shut off, my rent's overdue, I'm gonna get kicked out of my house. Please, honey, help me out.
Please, honey, help me out. And what did you say to her?
Absolutely. I mean, I cared about her and I cared for her children, so I was going to be willing to look out for them. Since we were supposedly dating at the time, I wanted to make sure she was taken care of. So I loaned her the money.
Well, so far I haven't heard anything about a loan, Mr. Carroll. So far I've heard, babe, can you help me out? And you said, I said, sure, because we were, shh, listen to me, Mr. Carroll. Because I said, sure, you know, we were a couple, we were together, I cared for her, you know, and she needed money, so I wanted to help her out.
Well, it was all under the condition she would also say, you know, I promise I'll pay you back. And Myra here, who was with her almost every single time, she would say, I promise I'll pay you back. And I said, well, I need the money back. And I can't just be giving out all this kind of money and not get it back. And I need some, redemption at one point or another. And she's like, I promise I'll pay you back.
Mr. Carroll, let me tell you something. Don't embellish when you come to court, because I can hear her saying, honey, I promise I'll pay you back. As soon as I get a job, I promise I'll pay you back. But I don't hear you saying to her, listen, I need some redemption at some point. And that I don't believe. I believe she probably said to you, honey, I promise I'll pay you back. So don't embellish. Because when things don't sound right to my ears, they're usually not true. We understand each other, Mr. Carroll?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Martin Carroll says ex-girlfriend Cynthia Clark owes for unpaid loans to pay bills. Martin's witness, Myra Edwards, claims Cynthia used the money to buy drugs.
Can I see those, please? What did he give you the money for, Miss Clark?
One time he sent it for Easter to help get my kids Easter baskets. My twins got sick, and he had sent me money for medication. Another time he'd send me money to go down to see him because I couldn't afford a trip by myself. I wasn't working at the time, and I do have 5 children, and he wanted to see me, so he would send me money to come see him.
Go ahead, let me hear the rest.
He also had sent me money to fix my car, well, to get another car because my car was messed up.
All this money that he was sending you, it came out as a result of you placing a telephone call to him to say, honey, I need money, because otherwise he wouldn't have known. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you called him and asked him for money.
Most of the time he offered it to me, but if I would talk to him about the problems, and he would offer it to me. You know, I'm here for you. I love you. I'll do anything for you. If you need the help, you know, I'm here for you. I'll send you the money.
Now, all the time he was saying that to you and you were telling him that you needed money for all these things, Mr. Triton over here, he was living in your house. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And not working because he didn't have any money, which is why he got thrown out of his own house. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Myra, you were living at her house.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you ever present when these phone calls were made asking for money?
Phone calls were made regularly from her to Martin, and she was always asking for money. Well, the twins are sick and I need some money, please, so I can get their medication. Yes, she would use some of the money to get the medication, but she was also using the money to buy illegal drugs.
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Shh, just a second. Did you ever hear her say to the plaintiff anything about paying back the money?
She would be crying to him on the phone, talking about she would pay him back. And then she'd get off the phone with him, well, he's a sucker because he should know that I'm not going to pay him back.
No, ma'am, Your Honor. Shh.
How many rooms are in this house?
3 bedrooms.
You had one?
No, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
On the couch.
No, ma'am, Your Honor. She slept in my bedroom.
Shh, 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 shh. Where did Triton sleep?
In the bed with Cindy.
And when did that start?
Around Valentine's Day, because he got out of jail shortly before Valentine's Day.
What were you in jail for?
Probation violation.
Up here. Probation violation for what?
Failing to do my community service.
Community service on what was the underlying charge? Is not an answer.
Felony gun charges.
Were you sentenced to prison on that charge?
I was sent to a year in Henry County Jail.
So that wasn't your first arrest?
No, ma'am, it wasn't.
Right. Okie dokie. And you got out of jail about Valentine's Day?
Yes, just before.
And you moved right back with Miss Clark?
No, ma'am, I didn't move right in with her.
How many days did it take you to move back in with her?
It was more than a few weeks. I had got my own apartment, and then we made an agreement with Myra and her boyfriend that they could move into my apartment since they were sleeping in Cindy's bed.
Now, when she moved out with her boyfriend, where did you move to?
I moved to the air mattress in the living room floor.
You mean you moved out of your apartment where you had a nice, comfortable bed and you slept on the floor? You want me to believe that?
The apartment was a rat's nest.
And that's why she moved in there, because it was a rat's nest.
That's because she didn't want to live there no more.
Miss Clark, I don't believe that there was a contract that was made between you and the plaintiff that I can characterize as a loan. I think that she would call you, ask you for money, you loved her, you gave her the money, because it was your intention that the two of you were going to spend your lives together. That be a fair statement?
I wanted to build a relationship. I don't know how long term, but I wanted to, I was looking out for her and kids, and the only reason I did it, I was on the assumption that she would pay me back. She would always tell me she'd pay me back.
Listen to my question.
Okay.
How did you think she was going to pay you back? With what?
She said
wampum?
She said when she got a job, she'd start paying me back.
Okay, listen. This is somebody whose business is making babies. She's 27 years old. She has 5 children. She has no money. She relies on the largesse of others. She finally got herself a job. She's got a boyfriend who can't, I was going to say who can't get himself arrested, but that wouldn't be true. So you listen to me very carefully, sir. I don't believe that you had what I would consider a valid contract with her to repay you this money. However, I believe that you're entitled to the money from her because I believe she defrauded you. I believe she led you to believe that you were in a monogamous relationship with her. And based on that monogamous relationship that was working towards something that could have been permanent, she was asking you for money. And I believe that all the time she was asking you for money, she was making a fool out of you with Mr. Triton. So she got that money from you fraudulently, and she has to return it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All parties in the matter of Elliott versus Worsham, step forward, please.
Plaintiff Sheila Elliott is suing casino owner Ken Worsham for pain and suffering due to an accident in his casino. Sheila says she fell to the ground when a worker removed a chair from underneath her during a game of Texas Hold'em.
Mr. Worsham, do you operate a casino? Is that what you do?
Yes.
Where is the casino?
Sacramento.
According to what I've read, Miss Elliott, you were playing some sort of a game, Texas Poker?
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em. I'm trying to figure out how this game was played, but I gather that there are 10 players to start with. Is that right, sir?
Normally there's 9.
And when one person leaves, they take away that spot, and it goes to fewer people and fewer people, almost like musical chairs. Miss Elliott was playing this Texas Hold'em, and according to you, you went to sit down, and one of the employees of the casino had removed the chair that you were going to sit on. Is that right?
At the time, the chair was there.
Well, when you went to sit down, the chair wasn't there.
Yeah, when I went to sit down, it was gone.
And you fell.
Yes.
And you want Mr. Worsham?
Worsham.
To pay you $5,000.
Yes.
What time did you start to play Texas Hold'em?
I started there early in the afternoon.
What date? Can we date?
On the 2nd.
2nd of what?
Of January.
And what time did this incident happen when you fell?
It happened like, to my recollection, I would say 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Anybody have a different time and date?
Yes, it happened about 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
So she fell about 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
That's
How do you
correct.
know that, sir?
We had a tape of it, of the incident.
And that's what the tape indicates?
Yes.
Okay. Is that possible?
No, it happened before then. Now, what his tape is showing, it could be. I didn't see this tape. I asked to see the tape.
That's not what I asked you.
Okay.
I said, could it have been at 6:30?
No, I believe it was before 6:30.
Who was the employee who was moving around the chairs?
Sheila Elliott says she was injured during a game of Texas Hold'em at Ken Worsham's casino. Sheila says a casino worker removed her chair while she was trying to sit down.
Miss Leon, you're an employee of Mr. Worsham's?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what time this incident happened?
I come in, see play on the table, and
What
around
time?
6:30.
You moved a chair, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me why you moved the chair?
Because got a player get off the table, so I get off the table. So I ask anybody want to move the chair. We have 10 seats.
I'm not, Mr. Worsham, you're going to have to act as partial
Okay.
translator for me. I'm not following this.
Okay, well, he asked if anybody was going to move seats. And then when no one said they were going to move, then you take a chair out.
Okay. Is that what was basically happening? One chair was being taken away?
No, ma'am.
Well, tell me what your version of these events
My
are.
version is it was late in the morning.
Okay, go ahead.
There were approximately about 6 to 7 players at the table, not 10.
Okay.
And not that many chairs.
Okay.
So what happened was Philip was reading a book for about maybe 30 to 40 minutes. So when I noticed that it was a few players and I had been sitting in this one particular seat for so long, I looked over at him reading the book. I said, Philip, can I move into that seat? He said, yeah, go ahead. Just like that. So it was me, a chair, and the third chair, the one I want to move into. So I didn't go behind the chairs. I came in front of the chairs. And I put my hand on the table like you normally do, as I do all the time. I reached back, because the chair, I felt the chair on the calf of my leg. I reached back to pull the chair up so I could sit down. No chair. He had pulled that chair immediately. And I yelled. I said, Philip, why did you move that chair? And he said, oh, and they all started laughing. He laughed. That's what made me so mad. And when I fell down, my head fell on my left shoulder. And when I fell down, I felt something like in the back of my neck, back of my head, like, and they was going to pull me up with this arm. And I said, no.
Miss Elliott, after you fell down, did you find a chair?
No, the chair wasn't there.
Shh. Did you find a chair to sit and continue playing that morning?
After they got me up?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
And how many hours did you continue to play after you fell on your behind?
Now,
just a second. Just answer my question. How many hours did you continue to play?
I stayed for several hours. I stayed there.
How many?
Oh, I
1
stayed
hour,
all, no.
2
no,
hours?
No, I stayed all that
3
day.
hours.
All
day?
Yes.
And I read your papers, and you said that after you fell, however, you felt a little woozy, and you went to the bathroom, and you took a Vicodin.
Yes, right.
Where'd you get the Vicodin from?
I carry Vicodins with me all the time.
For what?
Because I had back surgery back in '92.
So
and
you
when I have back
92
problems,
was 12 years ago.
I have back problems, and ever since I had the back surgery, I've been on pain medication.
So you take pain medication for your back?
Not frequently now, but I just carry it with me in case.
Carry it with you just in case you
Yes,
fall.
if I get, yes.
And
not
you sat
in
and
case
played,
I fall.
Miss
No.
Elliott, and you sat and played all day that day. Is
Waiting
that right?
for him to come in.
I don't care what. Listen,
Yes,
Miss Elliott,
okay.
listen to me very carefully, my dear.
All right.
This is not windfall day. What Mr. Worsham said to you when you approached him, because you waited for him all day instead of going to a hospital if you were injured because you couldn't move your shoulder, because your shoulder was all out and your back is out and you're taking Vicodin. You go to a hospital. You go to a doctor. You don't continue to play Texas Hold'em. Elliott, Mr. Leung, didn't purposely pull a chair out from under you. He wasn't playing a Halloween prank. You weren't injured. You only get paid if you're injured, even if he was negligent. And people who are injured don't stick around for a whole day and play Texas Hold'em, Miss Elliott. Do we understand each other?
I understand you.
Very good. Now, you offered her $500?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you offer her $500?
Well, she kept asking me what I was going to do for her, and I told her nothing, and she came back in and asked me again, and I finally said, okay, I'll give you $500. And she said, is that all I get? And I said, yes, that's all I'll give you. And she left again, went back and played cards.
What time was this? Do you recall?
This was another day. This was about 3 days later. In fact, I believe it was on a Monday or Tuesday.
You mean she came back, her injuries resolved, and she came back 3 days later?
Yes.
Is that right?
I came back to see him, not to play cards.
But you did play cards.
I wait while I was waiting for him. Yes.
Miss Elliott, courts have important business to take care of. It is not the role of courts to allow people to abuse them with nonsense lawsuits. Your lawsuit is nonsense. Okay. You were not injured. If you were injured,
yes,
you would.
Was.
No. If you were injured, a person of your age knows that if you fall on the floor and if you're injured, you don't sit around all day playing cards. You take care of your injuries. That's what you do. You chose not to do that. And you chose to come back a couple of days later to see him again, to ask him how much money he was going to give you. And while you were waiting, you weren't injured so much that you couldn't sit down and play a few games of Texas Hold'em or wherever else you were going to play. So, Miss Elliott, this is not a windfall day against Mr. Worsham. He offered you $500. You should have taken it. You didn't. He's not offering it anymore.
I didn't
Your
come back
lawsuit's
to him.
dismissed. That's
okay,
all.
thank you.
Parties are excused and they step out. Your Honor, it's case number 162 on the calendar, the matter of Starling versus Bartelli. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Starling, Mr. Bartelli was your former live-in boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you a whole bunch of money. He owes you some money for rent. He owes you some money for some court costs that you laid out for him. You want him to pay for new tires for your car. All in all, you're really annoyed with him. I gather that Mr. Bartelli moved out unceremoniously with no notice. Is that right, sir?
I feel I don't owe her the money.
No. You moved out unceremoniously, which means that you didn't have a discussion with her, you didn't sit down and talk to her, you just packed up your things, you decided you had enough, and you just left.
Your Honor, I just fed up with it. I don't feel I should have...
Just say yes. Just say yes. That's what you said here.
Nah, I don't feel it's right.
Oh, this is going to be harder than I thought. I'm going to get to you in a second. All right, Miss Starling. I have to see if I'm playing now with a level playing field. Here we go, because I haven't asked you a question yet. When did you and Mr. Bartelli move into this apartment that you shared?
In October of 2003, Your Honor.
Had you lived together before?
Yes.
And when you moved into this apartment, did you both sign the lease?
Yes, we did.
Can
And
I
I have
see
a copy of that.
the lease?
I don't think I didn't sign the lease.
Oh, take me back to the family court, please. Okay, so, Mr. Bartelli, it is your statement, sir, that you did not sign the lease. Is that, you did not sign the lease?
I don't remember signing the lease.
Ah, that's a different thing. Shut up. I believe you said I didn't sign no lease. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was a quote, because that was bad grammar. Now you say I don't remember signing the lease. Is that right, sir?
Yeah.
So then, Officer Byrd, would you please show Mr. Bartelli this witnessed signature on the lease?
It's your signature?
Yeah, but I don't remember signing it.
Mr. Bartelli?
You just don't remember.
Mr. Bartelli, that's possible that you don't remember signing it, but that doesn't mean you didn't sign it.
See, me and Miss Starling were together, and she sent roses and flowers to my office trying to get us back together. Then whenever I didn't reply to that, she took and sent me court papers.
Miss Starling, I don't want to hear from you. I want him. He's dying to say this, so you know what my sense is? If I let him say this maybe once, maybe he'll get it out of his system so that when I ask him questions, he'll give me a relevant answer. All right? So, Mr. Bartelli, go to it.
Excuse me?
All I said to you was, sir, the fact that you don't remember signing it is belied by the fact that you did actually sign it in front of a witness. And you started to tell me about flowers and candy that she sent you. And I didn't see how those two things were connected in any way.
Well, me and Miss Starling used to drink, and we quit drinking. We moved to Orlando, and she had lost her job, and her son moved in with us. So I feel I don't owe the money because I had to pay that money. And then she started drinking. That's why I left. And then when I left, she started sending flowers and stuff to my job, and then I didn't comply to that, and she sent me court papers.
Now he got it all out of his system, right? That's your whole story,
Yeah.
and you're sticking to it,
I feel
right?
I don't owe the money.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now we have to go do this my way, which is collect information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to make a ruling on her lawsuit. Do you understand, Mr. Bartelli?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I do carpentry work.
Okay. Which I assume you understand very well.
Mm-hmm.
Good. This is what I understand. I understand evidence. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you signed a lease on the apartment in October of 2003. And when did he move out?
April 3rd, 2004.
Now, you moved out, sir, because according to what you said in your mentally prepared statement, she started to drink again, you didn't want to live with her anymore.
Yeah.
So you want to tell me whether you discussed moving out, or you didn't discuss moving out, or you just packed your bags one day and left?
I just packed my bags and left.
If you just packed your bags one day and left, sir, you are still responsible, at least partially, on this lease. You signed a lease, obligating yourself to pay half the rent for a period of time. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do you think that you shouldn't be held responsible for at least paying the rent until such time as she can secure someone else that she wants to live with, if that's at all possible?
Well, I feel I didn't ask her for money whenever she had lost her job and her son had moved in with us, and I didn't ask for money back for that. So why should I have to pay that?
How much
rent?
were you supposed to pay in rent, Mr. Bartelli?
The rent's $1,000 a month.
So your half was $500?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you expect her to cover the other $500 a month for the remainder of the lease?
Yeah, but see, I didn't ask her for money for the electric and food and stuff like that.
I paid her. Oh. Okay. All right. Now, you also claim that you helped him out when he was arrested a while ago by giving him $500 to pay for some bad checks that he had written. And Mr. Bartelli, you don't deny that you had gotten yourself into some criminal trouble.
No, I don't deny, but see, all of our money was in together.
No.
She might have paid that, but I paid this.
Listen!
Diane Starling says ex-boyfriend Frank Bartelli owes for unpaid rent and a loan for tires. Frank says he and Diane shared their money.
Let me remind you what you said, sir, in your answer. You said, I don't deny that she gave me the money for these bad checks.
Yeah.
How did you pay her back for the jail bail money?
Well, she had borrowed the money from her brother. And like I said, we worked and all of her money was in one bank account. So she might have took the money out to pay that, but we took my money out to pay other bills. So all of her money was in the same account.
But you said that she borrowed that $500 from her brother.
Yeah, she paid her brother.
So if she borrowed that $500 from her brother, did you pay her brother back the $500?
Yeah, she sent checks to her brother.
She sent her checks to her brother for the $500.
Mm-hmm.
And the $500 was coming out of a bank account that you both pooled your money for household expenses. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No, everything.
What's everything?
All of her money was in the same account. My whole check gets deposited, and hers did too.
Well, was this bad check money an expense that you anticipated?
No, this is all of her money was in the same account.
Try to listen to what I'm saying, Mr. Bartelli. When you wrote the bad checks, did you know you were going to have to pay him back?
Yes.
So why did you write them?
At the time, I didn't have no money, didn't have a choice.
So it was always your intention to pay back the money for the bad checks, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
In what year did you write the bad checks?
2002.
And when did they finally catch up with you?
2003.
On what checking account did you write the bad checks?
That was out of my checking account.
Why didn't you use your joint account that you had with her?
Because we didn't have that account at that time.
So is what you're telling me after you wrote this series of bad checks, you decided to open up a joint checking account with you?
No way.
No, just a savings. I just got
no
a savings. I just got a savings account. She got a
So you
checking
didn't have a joint checking account?
No.
No.
Please.
All right. Now let's get to the tires. He used your truck, and after he left, you found the tires needed to be replaced.
They were bald.
They were
With
bald.
wires
Well,
showing
that's
this
your
much.
fault. Listen, Diane, darling, you let him use the truck, right?
Right. I didn't notice they were so bad.
Listen to me. Well, you should have noticed. Mr. Bartelli, I know that you don't feel as if you owe Miss Starling any money, but you do. You can't just decide that you are fed up and pack up your bags and move out, because that's immature and it's irresponsible and it's sticking someone else with a big obligation that they didn't anticipate paying by themselves. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So you owe her $2,500 for the rent. She also helped you out by borrowing money from her brother, and you didn't pay her back. Despite all your speeches, you didn't pay her back. So I'm entering a judgment in the plaintiff's favor in the amount of $3,000. do the right thing, Mr. Bartelli, that's all.
Chanta Rasaka versus Muth. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Beverly Lopez and her boyfriend, 20-year-old waiter George Chantarasaka, are suing George's former lover, 19-year-old tutor Saram Muth, for breaking into their home and stealing property.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Chantarasaka.
Chantarasaka. What's your first name?
George.
George. Do you mind?
No.
According to your complaint, this young lady is George's former girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend.
Former, that's former.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
And it is your claim that she broke into the apartment that you now share with George.
Yes.
Broke the door to your bedroom, vandalized the room, and took some of your property. Your defense is that it's your apartment, and you have the right to go into your apartment because you're on the lease.
Yes.
And you did take some of her property, but that was a mistake.
Yes, I did.
But that you gave it back to her.
Yes, I did.
When did you break up with George?
We broke up a week before I left, which was about May 24th.
And when did you come back to the apartment on the incident that Miss Lopez is complaining about?
A week after June 11th.
And when did you move into the apartment, Miss Lopez?
I think the last week of May.
And you moved in with George?
Yes.
So now he's your boyfriend?
He's been my boyfriend. We broke up for about a month, and that's when he got with her.
So you went from her to her, back to her, is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
You must have some secret something, George, because and if you do, it's got to be a good secret, because I don't see it. Now, you came back June 18th. Tell me why you came into the apartment. What were you looking for?
I came back to the apartment to drop off his wallet because he left it in my cousin's car. And I was there to pick up some of my stuff and take it back to California with me. Little did I know, my door was locked. So out of anger, I broke my door knob
The
off.
door that you had that you say was locked, is that a door to a bedroom that you had shared with George?
Yes.
So it was George's bedroom as well?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I broke off the doorknob, went in, took my stuff, and I also took her stuff out of anger.
And where did you put them when you took them?
I actually took it with me to California, but then I realized my stupidity, and I brought it back the next day.
You're lying.
Just a second. Did you get it back?
No, I didn't get any of my stuff back.
Show me that you brought it back and gave it to her.
I have a witness who can't come in because she's a minor.
Well, then if you have a witness that I can't question, then you have no witness.
You're right. I don't. But I did bring it back. Why would she wait for a month to file a report saying that I stole her stuff?
I called you and I told you that I wanted my things
Listen,
back.
Miss Lopez, don't speak to her. Speak to me.
Okay.
Did you get your property back?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Do you have a bill for the replacement of the doorknob?
No, I don't.
No, I don't know.
But this is the doorknob. This is how it looks when she broke it off.
I don't need the doorknob, madam. She says she broke the doorknob. I need what it's going to cost to fix it.
Well, we don't have the bill.
You have a list of items that she took out of your room?
I have a police report.
Well, you originally told the police, madam, that all the stuff that was taken was original value and current value were the same, $900. Why are you suing her now for $4,500?
Because my things are actually worth more than $900 at
You
the
mean
time.
they increased in value since you filed the police report?
No, I didn't.
Listen to me. If you file a police report and they ask you what the value is and you gave them their original value and the current value, I assume that when you filed that police report you were trying to be as accurate as possible. Is that right?
Yes, but at the time I wasn't really thinking because I was really...
Now you're thinking? Is what you're telling me now you're thinking? Heaven help me. You have no right to take up property and you have no proof that you returned it. I have no idea how much it's going to cost to fix the doorknob because you don't bring me a bill.
And she broke my video camera too.
You have a bill to have it fixed?
No, I don't.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a mind reader.
Your Honor, I did not break his video camera.
I'm not considering the video camera because people have to know that when they come to court, they have to be prepared. They have to be prepared with documents. They have to be prepared with receipts. They have to be prepared.
But
I'm speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They have to be prepared with an estimate of what it's going to cost to fix property if there's an allegation of damage? If you don't have that, the judge isn't going to get it for you. George, you got it?
Yes, yes.
Good. As far as you're concerned, you made this report soon after the incident occurred. You told the police what happened. You told the police what your property was worth. You told them at that time that it was worth $900, which is probably a stretch. Certainly that stretch isn't going to be stretched into $4,500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 212 on the calendar in the matter of Rochelle Chronister versus Wynn. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Chronister, this is your son?
Yes.
He's 17 years old?
Yes.
Have you ever had any trouble with him driving a car?
That was the first incident. He had only had his license for a month when this incident occurred.
Okay. What's your first name?
Corey.
So let's talk about this, Corey. Okay. According to your complaint, Mr. Wynn is a real nut. And he chased you in his car for no reason and caused you to have an accident. And after you had the accident and he caught up with you, he slammed his car into yours, causing damage to your car. So you had damage from the accident and you had damage from his car hitting yours. Yeah. And in addition, you say that he slammed the trunk of your car on your arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When you went to get a baseball bat out of the trunk of your car, and that caused you injury. All told, you want Mr. Wynn to compensate you in the amount of $2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wynn says that he was being a good Samaritan.
Yes, ma'am.
That he saw you involved in a hit-and-run accident. You took off after you hit something, and he was following you until he could get the police to apprehend you. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Wynn. On what day were you being this good Samaritan?
June 30th, I believe it was.
April 30th.
April 30th. I'm sorry, excuse me.
And where were you going to, and where were you coming from?
I was coming home from work.
And what time of the day was it that you were coming home from work?
Approximately 3:45, 10 to 4.
What kind of car were you driving?
I drive a 95 Dodge van. It's my work van, so I carry all my equipment and tools in it. It's a full-size van.
And what car were you driving, Corey?
95 Ford Taurus.
Whose car is that?
That was my car. It was in her name, but I was driving.
Who was with you?
3 of my friends were with me.
Did you ever have an agreement with your mother not to drive other people around in your car?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Wynn. So you're driving down the road, and what do you see that draws your attention?
I was heading south on Blanding. He was coming north on Blanding. There was a white car. It was a good ways ahead of me, probably 100, 150 yards ahead of me.
Ahead of you?
Ahead of me.
So you're going in the opposite direction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He made the turn to go down Alligator, which is my road that I go down also. I seen him hit the back end of the white car. It wasn't real hard, but he did hit it and just took off. I mean, he just nailed it and went. The lady who was driving the other car, which I didn't stop, had pulled over, was getting out of the car as I rounded the corner, and I just stepped on it trying to catch up with the car, see if I could at least get the tag number. That's all my intention was, is to get the tag number. Well, being he's in a smaller car and I'm in a big van with a lot of tools and equipment, I couldn't keep up with that van, with the car.
My car is not a smaller car. It's not like a little bitty car. It's a big car. I can fit like probably 6 or 7 people in my car.
I'm not asking you that, Corey, dear.
Sorry.
Mrs. Chronister, you weren't there.
I know.
You weren't there. Does Mr. Wynn look like a nut to you?
No.
He does not. He doesn't look like a nut.
But I believe his behaviors throughout the thing were...
Just a second. He doesn't look like a nut.
No.
So if your son told you that he didn't hit this car, his son is lying to you.
My son never said he did not. He admitted to hitting the car, even to the police.
Good. So you hit this car.
Just now I bumped the car.
After you hit the car, what did you do?
On the Alligator, the road that he was turning on, we stopped. The other car was going the other way, like we were in the median and we were coming across. We stopped and looked over, and then her car just kept going. So we just kept going. And then with this car, the van, we seen a van behind us. I started taking the turns to go to my house. They were like, "This van's following you." I said, "The van's following me?" They said, "Yeah, speed up." So
Did you, just a second, did you get out of your car to look and see if there was any damage on your car?
No, ma'am.
Why not? When you hit somebody, when you hit somebody and you're moving, that's what you do.
Yes, ma'am. It was a very slight bump, so I knew there was nothing wrong with the car.
Got it?
Yes.
Now, I can understand a woman in a car with 4 men in another car who's bumped, maybe not feeling comfortable about pulling to a complete stop, if that's what she says is happening. But that doesn't mean his first reaction isn't to get a plate number and then report it to the police, right?
I had no disagreement with that. Right.
Fine. So he started following you. And then what happened?
So they were like, he's following you. So I took down a couple roads. I was still driving, just regular driving. And he kept following.
Now, you saw him immediately after you hit the white car.
No, man, I took a turn, and then they.
Why did you take a turn?
I never saw him. My friend said.
Why did you take a turn?
Because I was turning to go to my house. I was just kept going. I didn't think nothing of it.
What street did you turn down?
It's just like a little dirt road that comes onto a alligator.
Do you know what street he's talking about?
No, ma'am, I had it written down, but I didn't. I apologize, I didn't bring it. But he turned down that one. He turned down several of them. As far as regular driving,
roads.
He was fishtailing.
You hit the white car, and how much later did you take a turn?
Probably 5 minutes. I mean, I had to go down Alligator a little
About
ways.
3 blocks.
3 blocks. Now, he's following you. You're 4 guys in a car. He's 1 guy in a van.
Well, we didn't know who. Like, I couldn't see inside his van. We didn't know anything about the van. We just knew that he kept saying he was following you. He's following you. So I said, okay, well, let's find out if he's following me. So I started turning down roads that I wasn't on my way to go home. And I just started down and turned him, and he's still there. I started looking in my rearview mirror. He's still there.
Why didn't you go down the road and go home and call the police?
Because my house was an hour away from there. I live a long way away from town.
Well, what about your friends? How close do they live?
They, I would have had...
Corey.
Yes,
Corey.
Yes, ma'am.
17-year-old Corey Rossell says fellow motorist Russell Wynn ran him off the road during a chase. Russell says Corey was fleeing the scene of a traffic accident.
Now, did you ever think that the woman that you hit in the white car was thinking the same thing about you and your 4 friends in your car?
No, ma'am, because we had stopped and we saw her drive off, so we just thought it was just...
She didn't drive off.
No, ma'am, he didn't even slow down.
She didn't drive off. That's what you told your mother.
If he'd have stopped, ma'am, I'd have went on my way, thought nothing of it.
If she would have stopped, how would he have known that she stopped if he was following us from the minute that he saw it?
Because he says he saw you hit her and take off. That's how.
That didn't happen. We stopped. I swear we stopped.
That's what you do when you hit another car, even if it's a little bump. You get out, you look at your car, you look at their car, you say, is everything all right? Are you all right? And then you leave. Unless you're scared that you've had your driver's license for a month, you got 4 friends in the car, and maybe if you just take off, this whole nasty thing's just going to go away. It's just common sense, Corey. That's what makes the world go round, common sense. That's why he was chasing. He's not a nut. He sees 4 kids in a car, hit another car, and take off. And that's why he was following you.
There was other incidents that made me feel different after the fact that we got onto the main road, and he was still right behind me. Well, it's just rained, so it was pretty slick outside, and I started going through all these roads. I finally got to the end of the road, so I turned onto a main road, and he was still right behind me. He's still there. He got right up beside my car. This is why I didn't think he was actually following me, because he ran my car off of the road. And he ran my car off the road to where he almost ran right into my driver's side door. And then he got out, and all I could hear was him cussing and cussing and cussing. And so I just took off. I was like, I'm not going to sit here for this. And I took off, and then I was like, I'm turning here, and it just rained, and I had a lot of dirt on my tires, so it's slick, and I just ran right into the tree. And then after I hit the tree, I backed up, and the guy was still back there. And I started going through the parking lot, and they're like, he's still there.
And you got 3 other teenagers in the car with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
He's supposed to stop.
Well, I agree at one instant, but I'll be honest, I have told my children that because previously in Florida around our area, people have been shot, you know.
You mean cars bumped?
Cars bumped, you know, all
That's
that
why
kind of
the
stuff.
white car may have moved on with 4 men in the car behind them.
I agree.
How do you not do the right thing and then come to court to sue about it?
Because I think he took justice into his own hands. I think he could have taken the license plate down.
Just a second. Do you think that your son was driving recklessly during that time?
I'm not saying he was in the right either, but I'm just...
Listen to me, Ms. Chronister. Then what you have to say is, if my son did something wrong, and as a result of my son doing something wrong, there was damage to my car, you don't come to court and sue over it.
I guess my main problem and concern comes in from when they did get on the main road. And he did come up on the side of them to the point where...
So get him over so that he would stop his car.
And when he did stop his car, he comes out cussing and hollering.
How many minutes did it take for him to chase you down?
Probably 20, 25.
He's on his way home from work.
And I understand that, but it's not even like his car was involved in it. He was supposedly being a good Samaritan, I understand, but I just think he went overboard.
You're entitled to your opinion. As a very, very dear friend of mine says, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You have your opinion, I have my opinion. Ultimately, it's only my opinion that counts. Your son did the wrong thing. He hit a car, he took off from the accident. This gentleman who was just looking to go home after a day's work said, it's not right, they just hit this lady in a car, and took off. 4 kids in a Taurus, and I'm going to catch up with him, and I'm going to get his license plate, and I'm going to see to it that he's reported, and your son takes off and takes him on a 25-minute chase. I would have taken away his driving privileges. Did you get him a new car?
No.
Good. Your case is dismissed.
But, ma'am,
Thank you,
I have a question, though. After my son wrecked, this is where the punitive comes in, he hits him from behind, gets out of his car with a bat, and follows my son with a bat in his hand, screaming and yelling at him.
Threatening him
How is
with
that?
a bat.
And what did your son do?
My son stood there and yelled. They were yelling. His car was smoking. Then my son went around and went to get the bat, and that's when
Went to get his bat.
Right.
Case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.